Support comes from Sunday Morning Cafe, presenting Resilience and Creativity, a concert and interview with Royce Martin, creator of Swag Time, and resilience researcher Dr. Tom Wagner on August 2nd, sundaymorningcafe.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. Amid declining use of many Indigenous and Pacific Island languages among younger generations, Southern Illinois University-Edwardsville has begun helping preserve one of the world's oldest living Polynesian languages with a Samoan language course, one of the few university-based courses in the U.S. at its Belleville campus. This part of the country may seem like an unlikely place for such a class, but the approach taken by its instructor, William Fanene, makes it possible for people to learn the basics of the language from just about anywhere there's an internet connection. It's a reflection of the broad access Fanene wants folks to have to both the Samoan language and culture. It's also part of the welcome he hopes people feel. And he joins us now to talk about that. William, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So talk with us first about your personal relationship with Samoan. In what ways was it part of your life as you were growing up?
Well, so my mom is Samoan. My dad's Black American. I grew up in the Samoan culture pretty much all over the world, Germany, all throughout the States, more so like the West Coast, Hawaii. So I grew up in Samoan churches, and then my family ended up, we split up. We ended up getting divorced, so I didn't have that consistent contact with the Samoan language. So that was one of the, I guess, insecurities as I was growing up. Is like I really want to get connected with my language, and so eventually, over the years, I just kind of taught myself and came up with a curriculum for myself. And then I was like, oh, wow. I ended up getting it like in my late 20s, early 30s, where I really felt like I got it. I was like, I want to share this. I want to share the language with people. So that's kind of how I started in all of this.
Where did your first attempts start as far as learning the language formally?
I guess at the time there wasn't really like a program because the internet wasn't a big thing. So any kind of books that I could get my hands on, a lot of them came from Australia or New Zealand. And that was even rare to even find books like that. But when I did, then also too, like the Mormon church, I'm not Mormon, but they have a lot of literature out. So I would collect as much of that information as possible. And like I said, I would just put my own sort of curriculum together. The way that I learned in college, I would just put things in. Once I felt like I got it, then I was like, okay, I want to share it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did you practice? I mean, you talked about all the different places where you've lived. Mm-hmm. Here in this region, in the St. Louis area, in southern Illinois, there isn't, from what I understand, a large Samoan population.
There's not, right?
Yeah.
I would just call mom.
Okay.
I call mom and my stepdad. So like, I would practice what I learned in the books. A lot of times the books are a little bit, they're not off. They're more formal. So they were more so like the conversational Samoan, which is what I'm teaching now. But yeah, the books is, I kind of use that as my guide because that way people can refer back and say, okay, he didn't make this stuff up. But we don't really have that with the conversational Samoan. Nobody really has written that out. Mm-hmm. So that's why I just call mom and, she would check me. No, don't say it like that. Say it like this. So, and I've been doing that for like 15 years now. Mm-hmm. So after I felt comfortable sharing it, that's when I started.
So 15 years. It was about 10 years ago, I think almost exactly 10 years ago, that the Disney film Moana
already?
Already. It made major waves,
okay.
no pun intended. To what extent did that movie increase, mainstream interest in Polynesian culture?
I think it did a lot, especially with the kids. The older people were already into like The Rock and with wrestling, the Uso brothers, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So that's really most people's contact who don't live on the West Coast or not familiar with Samoans. That's pretty much all they really know about it. So between Moana and between like the WWE and so forth, I think that generated a lot of interest with even people who are not Samoan at all. Like, you know, there's some people I was want to know, like, why do you want to learn the language? And I believe that has something to do with it, just the popularity of the culture and the language, you know, today. So.
Did you notice at that time, you know, that people had more questions? I mean, when folks found out that you have Samoan heritage, were there common questions that they had for you?
Yeah, a lot of them were just, at least around here, the questions here are a little different from out west. So here, you know, what is a Samoan, or are you like? I don't want to say it like that, but some people they'll say it's all the same. Like, okay, Samoan, Tongan, Fijian, you know, just Pacific Islander, or they'll even say like Filipino. Like they just lump everybody together. So I think that was the main questions, like what is a Samoan anyway, and then why is it even different from the rest of the stuff, and then. You know, sometimes I answer the question and it's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, how would
same.
you answer that question?
If I have time, I'll go ahead and explain. But other times it's like, okay, yeah, I'm Hawaiian, whatever.
Oh,
you know, so
it was just easier that way.
It's easier that way, but you know, and I know that's not the right thing to do all the time. But sometimes it's like you get frustrated. Well, not even just frustrated, but kind of offended sometimes that people don't know. But it's, you know, it's not their fault. If they don't know, they don't know. But yeah, it's the lumping in when you just get lumped in with everybody else. It just kind of, you know, on the West Coast they know better, but here they're still learning. So, you know, I can't fault them for that.
When you started this journey of learning Samoan yourself, you said that you had to look around for resources. What about that was, you know, the most challenging?
I guess just finding resources that were actually, you know, like I was saying, the conversational resources, finding things that people would actually use and resonate with, because the educational stuff, you know, that's great, but a lot of people don't speak the way that they speak in the books. So even though I had the information in front of me, I still had to like curate it or customize it to where, okay, this is how we speak. This is how we speak. So I don't really know who was writing the stuff. You know, there might have just been big academics, but the people, even in the class that I'm doing right now, they want to learn how to exchange Samoan in conversation. Like someone told me last week, I only learned because I just wanted to be able to say these words to my grandma. She's about to pass. I want to have a conversation with her before she leaves. And that's a lot of times what's written in the books is not what he can say to her, you know. It's more formal, you know.
You founded Talofa Talk, which is an online language learning platform. Was it 16 years ago? How long has it been now?
No, well, so it actually started off as a purely Samoan channel. So it was Mato Samoan at first. And then I had a lot of people from the different Pacific nations, like the Fijians and Tongans and Chamorro, like all these people, like, well, we want to learn our language the way that you teach Samoan. So I turned it into Pacifica pages. And thinking that I was going to get all of these teachers from different places. Like it was supposed to be this big repository of all of these, you know, these different Pacific languages. And then it didn't really turn out the way. Yeah, so I didn't get the teachers that said that they wanted to join and all of that kind of stuff. So then I turned it back to, I had to rebrand again after that, after I messed that up, and turn it to Talofa Talk. And so now it's just a Samoan curriculum. You know, I try to make videos, real short videos that people can learn just like that. It's flashcards, and you know, I made a Samoanopoly game. It was just a spinoff of Monopoly. I had you know, game boards, all kind of stuff. I just try to make it put on Talofa Talk.
How do you integrate culture with language?
So I guess just the things that you know, situations that I had growing up, I try to integrate all of that kind of stuff. things that probably nobody else would know unless you were Samoan and you like, you know, how a Samoan uncle would say a certain thing. So I
Give us an example.
okay. Well, so for example, like a lot of the Samoan uncles, they just kind of sit around, and they're not lazy, but they're just kind of like, you know, just small talking. Yeah, they're just kicking it. There's a lot of small talk. So somebody will say something, and I also put this in the classes too. So somebody will say one thing, and then the other guy, he just kind of rephrases the same thing. And if I just say it like the way I say it now, it's not funny. But most Samoans would be like, "Oh yeah," and then everybody joins in in the conversation, and we just kind of talk about the Samoan uncle. So I put that part in the class and just kind of bring that up. So, and I know immediately who's Samoan because that's people just start laughing in the background. So
okay, you can hear their laughter.
Yeah, you could hear them laughing, or they'll just join in the we'll stop the class for a second so they can oh yeah, my uncle said Missy said this or whatever, but.
We're talking today with SIUE instructor Will Fanene. He's teaching the first Samoan language course offered at the university. He's also the founder of Talofa Talk, which is an online language learning platform. So the people who are joining these classes, I want to get to an example of someone who does not have Samoan heritage.
Okay.
Megan Krause, who teaches English as a second language in Edwardsville, is a student who's attending your class right now in Belleville, and she's doing so in person. And she told our producer, Laila Halalbashij, that she signed up for the Samoan course you're teaching because it was something wholly new to her.
So I really enjoy studying languages. But a lot of the European languages like Italian and German, there's a lot of resources out there. But when I saw the Samoan class, it was definitely something new. And I know next to nothing about Pacific Islander culture and language. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity to learn about a new language and a new culture.
And Megan also said that the course has provided a glimpse into a culture and family of languages she feels fortunate to be experiencing in this part of the U.S.
A lot of the languages I've studied have been European languages, and I really didn't know anything about the Pacific side of the world. So this class has really just opened up my eyes to the other side of the world, and it's exposed me to the culture of the people. And also, as a bit of a linguistics nerd, it's showed me and taught me a lot about how indigenous languages in the Pacific work.
What do you think of that?
Well, first, I always wondered why she was in the class. Most people have a direct connection to, Samoan family, whether they're married or something like that. I never just came out and asked why are you here?
Yeah.
So to know that that she came because she just likes to learn languages. That's awesome. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But she's absolutely correct. There's not a lot of resources out there, and I think that's kind of how I was able to stand out because I started it was right before COVID, and I've been doing it consistently since that time. So I think that's great that she's in the class, and if there's others like her, but I know about her because she's one of the in-person people in the class, so I appreciate her being there.
Right. And you have close to, is it 50 or 60 students?
40, well, there's 49.
50,
49
right.
Yeah,
close
50,
to that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're joining from all over the world, including Australia,
New Zealand, Samoa, and then the rest are here in the mainland.
Yeah.
But some of them, I do believe they're military, so I think there's some from Germany. But for the most part, I think Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, and mainland America.
What does that say about the importance of preserving this language? And it is a living language. Right. We're not talking about Latin. This is not, Odyssey era Greek.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of people that, just like me, they grew up in the culture, but they, for whatever reason, did not learn the language. And I don't want to say it was the elders' fault, but a lot of them, when like myself, I'm a first generation here in America. Our parents did not want to teach us. They didn't really enforce learning Samoan all the time because they wanted us to learn English and get acclimated and get accustomed to and just blend in, I guess. Mm-hmm. But now the people they want to learn the language. They don't want to assimilate like that. They want to stand out and they want to be proud of who they are. So a lot of people they're going to get the tattoos and they're going to they want to express the heritage. And most of that pride and stuff comes from actually knowing the language as well.
Mm-hmm. So. How different is that now compared to when you were a kid growing up, in the 80s? And
right.
Yeah.
It's way different because before, like I said, we were just so we were just trying to fit in. Like I said, we're not trying to fit in anymore. We want to share our culture. We want to share the language, and we want people to know that. Yeah, Samoa is a place, and come learn about it.
Megan also had said that she'd love to find a way to use some of the skills she's learning, and to travel to Samoa to communicate with people on a different a deeper level. That is, how has that knowing that people are coming in with such different levels of connection to Samoan culture affected the way that you teach this course?
Right. Yeah. So before, my assumption was that people had a base level of Samoan knowledge already. You kind of knew the culture. So I guess those assumptions would make I would miss a lot of important things that I could have been teaching because I didn't know that there were people like Megan in the class that knew nothing. They were just joining. So because I didn't understand, I guess until Megan came into class and other people like her, I didn't understand why somebody would want to learn the language and you have no connection to it unless you were married and you wanted to speak to your wife or your husband or something like that. But now I know just start with a blank slate, and that's how I did it this time. And I feel like I got a better response just by starting from zero as opposed to assuming that you grew up around Samoans and know what we're talking about and sort of thing,
I joined one of the classes, and I have to say it was fun. Okay. I like learning languages too, but the way that you approach things made it so easy to understand, the order of things, doing those exercises in class.
Okay.
What have you learned as a teacher, doing this for a university-based course?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just structure. Like I said, starting from ground zero and then having a structure. So the way that I actually learned it was through identifying different parts of a sentence, the phrase structure, the order of how things are laid out. And once you're able to, you identified a noun phrase, you identify a verb phrase, where the action is going to happen and what time is going to happen, you just made a whole sentence. So I really just kind of focus on breaking everything down. 1 week we just do this part of the sentence, that week we do that part of the sentence, and by week 5 or 6, we're speaking in whole sentences. And it's kind of like like on the Karate Kid, like, people in the class are like, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. But then by the time week 6 comes around, it's like, oh, you're speaking Samoan already, So that's just kind of how my approach is: break everything down in pieces and then show, Well, I try to show a little bit every week, so to help people gain confidence. But like I said, break it down as simple as possible and start from zero.
Now, the mere fact that you are teaching this course through SIUE, you were an SIUE grad yourself, right?
99.
How did this come about?
Well, I also DJ, so I DJ on the weekends, and after it was an exercise class, I was DJing, and I met one of the people there was from SIU, and I didn't know where it was going. She just said, "Oh, you teach Samoan?" I was like, "Okay, yeah." So then Tammy contacted another person named Liz, and Liz, the conversation just kept on going. I didn't think it was going to happen, really. And then next thing I know, they're like, okay, we're moving forward, sign the papers. And I was like, oh, wow. And I still didn't really know what was going on. I was like, oh, wow, I'm about to teach a class at SIU. So, but then I remember SIU was really, they had a really strong language program when I was there. Mm-hmm. And then they got into the endangered languages and so forth. I was like, okay, I kind of see what they're doing here. So, which is a great thing. So they probably, and I'm pretty sure they probably just saw this as an opportunity to expand and really get into, because although Samoan is not an endangered language, as far as I'm concerned, the people here within the diaspora, it is kind of endangered because they're not really learning the language, especially when you get past the West Coast. There's not a lot of people that speak Samoan. Mm-hmm. I think this is a great thing that SIU is doing. Is picking this class up, and hopefully other classes like this, like the other Pacific languages. I think that would be great.
And from what I understand, SIUE is the only university that is east of Utah that has a Samoan language program.
Right.
I mean, just to imagine that something like this is available to people in person, if they want to do it in person, that's quite an impressive thing. You also have a child who's learning Samoan.
Right.
What has that been like? Do you teach your child the same way that you're working with these adults?
No, not really, because so every day, I mean, it is in pieces, but so every day when I drop them off at school, we either do days or we do a phrase or something like that, and it's just building over time. I don't really like give him a whole curriculum because I don't want him to feel like he's learning.
It's work.
I don't want it to feel like it's work, and then he gets disinterested. That's just his personality. So I just kind of, just casually, tell him different things around the kitchen, or, if we're driving, like how to do directions and stuff like that. And he just went and saw the other Moana show the other day. So,
right. The live action.
Right, the live action. And he was like, oh, yeah, I think I know what they were saying. Yeah, so, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been really fun.
There's just one more week left of this class. What are you building toward with this 101 course?
Right. So one of the things in the culture, when you want to learn Samoan, the people that don't want to teach you, they'll say, go read the Tusi Pa'ia. The Tusi Pa'ia is the Holy Bible.
Okay.
Right. So so at this point, they can already go through and dissect, the parts of the Bible or a sentence and just, read all the way through. And I also want them to be able to make their own conversations. And they might not realize it yet, but if they just sat down and wrote down what their thoughts were, they could also do that. So at the end of a course, I would like for everyone to be able to have like basic conversations, and then also be able to at least write out, pages of what their, whatever their thoughts are in Samoan. And I believe the whole class can do that at this point.
Okay.
So that's my goal.
And as a parting word here, for those who maybe are curious about Samoan, what would you say to them? How would you encourage them to take the next course that will be offered?
Right. Well, I would just say, just go ahead, sign up, contact SIUE. You'll learn a lot about the culture. There's people in the class that they love to connect and, share the culture, even if they can't speak the language. They love to share who Samoa is, what Samoa does. They'll invite you into their home, feed you. And all you have to do is just show interest. If you show interest, and it's the same thing with the class. You just come to the class and you'll get all that kind of love. We give you the alofa, the love. We just, people just love to, when you show interest in Samoa. Mm-hmm.
William Fanene is the founder of Talofa Talk and the instructor of the first Samoan language course offered through Southern Illinois University-Edwardsville's Belleville campus. Will, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
This episode was produced by Elaine Shaw. Production assistance from Lila Halal-Bashich.
Our audio engineer is Aaron Dorr. This podcast was mixed and edited by Aaron.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Hi, I'm Laura Hamden, and my colleague Jessica Rogan and I are your daily hosts of the Gateway newsletter. We meet with the editors in the STLPR newsroom every weekday to bring you the top local stories of the day in a quick and easy 6-minute read by 6 a.m. In an age of overwhelm, it's a refreshing, thoughtful take on the news day, if we do say so ourselves. Fine-tune your daily news habit with the Gateway newsletter. Subscribe at stlpr.org/gateway.